Torah on Megillah Esther, page 190, in the middle of the first column. Okay, the Alter Rebbe is explaining that of the name of Yud Kei Vav, Vav is the 6 midas, and the Hey is the Machshava Dibur Maisa, but sometimes it allows a unique nourishment to evil, and you have to be careful that evil can be nourished from this level of Kedusha. And he says, okay, middle of the page. That's the level of Amalek. That's the level of the Yesh. That makes the Yesh even bigger. Opposite of the level of Bittul, that comes in the name of Yudke. In other words, Yudke is the level of Bittul. Amalek's Avodah is the level of Yeshus, opposite of Bittul, that he makes the Yeshus more and more opposite of Bittul. That's what the Amalek does. And it blocks and covers the revelation of Yudke. That's why, because Amalek is, like we learned, the seichel of Klippa, the intellect of Klippa, is the source of the Sheva Midas Rois. It's the source of the bad nations of Canaan, the 7 bad Midas. And therefore, what does Amalek do? It covers the level of Yudke. He doesn't allow the Yudke to come into Vavke. Yudke represents Bittul. Vav represents the Midas, Hey represents thought, speech, and action. So normally, in order to have proper Midas, proper Machshava Dibur Maisa, you need the level of complete Bittul. But as Amalek do, it doesn't let Yud-K come into Vav-K. So therefore, the Vav and the Hey, meaning the Midas and the thought, speech, and action, don't have Bittul. Chazal tell us, the only way a person can transgress a sin is by this foolish spirit. So what is the foolish spirit? Chassidus explains, the Ruach HaMechaser Master Bechinas HaBittul. The shtus, the foolishness, is what covers the level of Bittul. Because it says, Kezel Chacham, what is a Chacham? Hadoyas HaNeilad. Okay, in Pirkei Avot it says, who is a Chacham? One who is willing to learn from everybody. The Gemara says another place, who is a Chacham? Hadoyas HaNeilad, who sees the future. That's simply what it means. In other words, a wise person doesn't think about the now, he thinks about the long term. Like you'll eat something, that will disagree with you. So right now you like it, but eventually you're going to be sick from it. So a fool thinks about the now, he'll eat it. Huh?
I'm furthest away now.
No, he can eat it. But the smart person looks at the future, doesn't pay now to enjoy a minute, to suffer for a week, whatever. But Chassidus explains, what does it mean, Ares and Neilad? He sees the way the world is created, Yesh Mi'ayin. Therefore, the world has to be bought. V'zeu ein Hashem Shalom. That's what it means. The name of Hashem is not complete because Amalek doesn't allow the Yud-K to come into the Vav-K. V'inyan Shalom, and that's what Chazal says. But the Gemara says two things. The name of Hashem is incomplete, and the throne of Hashem is not complete. Right? Because it's case instead of kisei. Sheina kisei shalom. What is the level of kisei? What does it mean, the throne of Hashem? That's the level of kisei, is case aleph. Right? It's 2 words. Chav samach is case aleph. What does it mean? The aleph is aleph chochma lecha bina. The aleph refers to chochma and bina. Shebal yarda min iskasib eksim gashmim. Torah comes concealed into, what does Torah deal with? You have Hashem's infinite wisdom dealing with cows and thieves and agriculture. It's concealing the godliness. But it's called the expression of a chair. What is the chair? Conceptually, what's the concept of sitting? Sitting means you lower yourself. To sit on a chair, like this, you're standing, you're taller. Now you sit down, you're shorter. Main meaning. Shemash v'lachud of leishem olav. You bend down your back to sit lower. Kachu in Torah. Shil bechinas achurayim bechinas chitzenis. The level of external level of Torah, Yodam in his slapshe binyani elam azagashmi, comes into the gashmistic things. Vakise with the level of merkava to bechinas achurayim sheyodam v'nishpul. So what does it mean when you speak about Hashem's throne? Okay, you have the whole story in Yecheskel, right? The Nevuah, the Mara of the Merkava. Okay, so over there it speaks about the animals, and then you have Adam Yeshiv ala Kisei, there's a person on this chair, refers to Hashem. Now how does it mean Hashem Gaviyocha has a chair? Or even more so, it's a pasuk and now we say it in the Haftarah Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. Hashemayim Kisi, v'haaretz adem ragli. Hashem says, the heaven is my chair, and the earth is my footstool. V'haaretz adem ragli, where I put my feet. What do you mean that heaven is Hashem's chair, and the earth is his footstool? Hashem doesn't sit. What it means is, just say conceptually, the concept of a chair is you come down lower. So what does it mean when you say Hashemayim Kisi? The Shemayim, even the Ruchniistic levels, the Ruchniistic worlds are a yerida, a descent of Hashem's glory. And then the Aretz, the earth, is even lower. It's like the feet of Hashem, meaning the lowest of the low. So he says, Yod and stop Shabinyanim Elam Agashmi. The key said the Merkava for that level. So therefore, Vihine, Ve'ese Katera, when you learn Teda, Tzarech Lias Lishma. It has to. Oh.
Okay. We all stand up.
The Torah, he stood up, Taki. The whole inyanim of Torah has to be learned properly. Why? If you learn Torah improperly for the wrong reasons, so not only is Torah not holy, do you not elevate it, but Torah actually goes into Sholosh Klipas Atmeis. Now the Rebbe talks about that in Tanya. When you learn Torah Shalei Lishma for the wrong purposes, which primarily means the level of yeshus, of ego, to be called respected and smart, everybody. So that is all lowering Torah, because Torah is the level of bittul. Chachmas is Shalakadosh Baruch is the level of bittul. If somebody learns Torah and it causes them more gaiva, more ego, that's mamish contrary to the whole essence of what Torah is all about. Huh? So Hashem said to learn Torah and to become one with Hashem.
Become humble.
That's
The more, if a person learns Torah properly, the more they learn, the more humble they become. The more humble you become. Why? Because the more you learn, you realize the less you know. Like there's a guy, okay, what is Yiddishkeit in 2 days? We'll get all of Yiddishkeit. We'll learn all of Yiddishkeit in 2 days. And then the more you learn, the more you see you know nothing.
there's no incentive.
What?
There is no incentive.
Yeah, because Hashem said so. So yeah, a baby, the Rambam says, when you start teaching kids, you give them sweets, you give them this, his incentives. But when they get older and they learn Torah because they're going to get a candy, or that's pretty sad.
Learn to teach, learn to make a good video, learn to become...
Learn because Hashem said so. That's what he says. And he says, it has to be Lishma Pirish. What does Lishma mean? Bishvil ha-Torah atzma. It's for the sake of Torah itself, meaning laham shel ba bechinas aleph, to bring down the aleph, the bittul, into Torah. Like it says, Mi kamcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. Who is like your nation, goy echad ba'aretz? So simply it means like this. Mi kamcha Yisrael, who is like your nation Yidden? Goy echad ba'aretz, a unique nation in the land. That's the simple meaning of the pasuk. Here now the Rebbe is defining it, and Chassidus always says this. What is the Mikamcha Yisrael, who's like the Jewish people? What is the Jewish people's function? Goy, it's a nation that Echad Ba'aretz reveals Hashem Echad in the earth. What is the role and function of the Jew? To be revealed, Goy Echad Ba'aretz, to be Mamshech the Echad, Hashem Echad in the earth. To bring down the world in a way of Einoid Mulvadai, that the only thing that exists is Hashem. That's called learning Torah Lishma. If somebody says, I only have Torah, meaning he has no good midas, Torah doesn't come down into practical living, that's a level of Amalek, a Mafrid Aleph. Because again, what does Kisei mean? Not only he said Yudke Vavke is not complete, right? Now he says the chair, the throne of Hashem is incomplete. So what's Kisei? Kisei is the level of Elokus that comes down. Yeah? But Kisei has to have the Aleph at the end. Because the Aleph is the level of bringing Echad Ba'aretz to bring down Elokus in the world. If you're missing that Aleph, if you're missing that level of Bittul, then you have a case. Not in English case, Chav Samach. You have a case which is supposed to be chair, but it's incomplete chair because it's not bringing Elokus down. You're not being Mamshech Elokus in the slow world. And that's the klip of Amalek. What does Amalek do? It separates the Aleph from the Kisei. It's a very interesting thing. It says in Sfarim that the word Emes, is Aleph Mem Saf, yes? So if you take away the Aleph, meaning if you take away God from truth, it's dead. It's mess. Emes is only Emes because it starts with an Aleph. Aleph is a level of Bittul. Aleph is a level of Aleph Chacham, of teaching, bringing Torah down here in the world. So now the question is, how do you fight this Amalek? So he says, the eights to fight of Amalek. It said because the pasuk says ki yad al keis yudkei. Pirush yad hulamayla mechinas keis mechinas yudkei. The pasuk says like this: ki yad al keis yudkei. That means yad is above keis and above yudkei. That's what the pasuk says. V'inyin yesh gimel yadis. We find in Torah with the word hand, we find three expressions, three adjectives. Yad HaGedela, Yad HaChazaka, and Yad HaRama. Yad HaRama, V'bnei Yisrael Yitzim B'Yad Rama. Elevated, outstretched hand. So you have Yad HaGedela, V'yar Yisrael see Yad HaGedela. You see it says Yad HaChazaka, by Mitzrayim it says it'll show the Yad HaChazaka. V'hinei, Yad HaGedela, in this level of Yad, the big Yad, it says, V'yad Yisrael Yad HaGedela. The Jews saw the big hand. Meaning, Sheyadu Museges, which is a level which is understood, because what is Yad HaGedula? Gedula again is Chesed. Gedula is Ava. So what does it mean, Yad HaGedela? That's the level of Ava Shema'eder Adam. The love that awakens a person. The Dovka by Yisparich, to cling to Hashem. Which how do you cling to Hashem? It has to be Musagas Umurgeshet B'lev. You have to feel it. The only way you could become one with Hashem is if you feel it. If you don't feel it, there's you and there's the object. When you feel something, then you're one with the subject. Right? So it's not enough to understand, like we learned. You can be a brilliant doctor and do everything unhealthy. Which means your doctoring and your behavior is nothing to do with each other. And the fact that you do everything unhealthy does not negate the greatness of you being a doctor. Right? You could be a preacher of any morals or whatever you want. And it has nothing to do with your lifestyle. Like the famous story that Rabbi used to quote Aristotle, when they caught him doing an immoral act, he said, now I'm not Aristotle. Because Aristotle preached morals and he was doing immoral. What do you mean I'm not Aristotle? That doesn't mean Aristotle wasn't a brilliant teacher of morals. But nothing to do with his behavior. Right? Because why? Because they didn't feel it. Torah, he says, the only way you can cling to Hashem is not by knowing Torah, but by feeling godliness. That's come into the heart. That's why we find many psukim, I mean, even in davening, before Shema, yeah, we say, V'sein b'libeinu, give in our heart, bina, love, and before Shema, right? V'sein b'libeinu, give into our heart, bina, love, and alaskil, the bina of understanding. How does that get to heart? It should say v'sein b'meichenu, whatever the word is, in our moyach, in our brain, bina. How does bina get to the heart? Or in Pasuk Eliyah it says bina liba. Uvalev Maven, right? In Pasuk Eliyah. What does it mean? How does Bina get to the heart? What we're asking is not only that we should have the brains in the seichel, we should feel it, because that's the connection to Hashem. The only way you connect to Hashem is if you learn it, love it, live it. In that order, you know what I mean? It has to be, in order to live it, you have to love it. Because if not, it's not you. It's all a show. It's a bluff. Bina is Havana. So, yeah, that's what it means.
Understanding.
So how does it get to the heart?
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to understand something. You have to feel it.
What is the saying of fake it till you make it? What does that mean?
There's a saying, an expression that Chassidus brings down, fake it until you make it. Because the Torah says, Shalai Lishma becomes Lishma. Rabbi used to tell us that if you look in the Rebbe Rashab's, all the Rebbe Rashab's Torah Sholem, the Rebbe Rashab is blasting the concept of a chitzin. A chitzin means a person does it for show. There's a pnimi, he does it for himself. Okay? Chitzin is he does it for the show. He's an outside chitzin, right? The chitzin. He does it for the show. So the Rebbe Rashab in Torah Sholem, all the Rebbe Rashab say blasts this concept of a chitzin because it's false and fake, and it's mamish the opposite of an emes.
Like a pig that...
Yeah, chazer kosher fissel. So, nevertheless, Rabbi used to say, there's still an advantage of a chitzin. As bad as he is, there's an advantage of the chitzin. And he used the Yiddish expression, "Bayem beweist the fart of his tire." If he's faking it, that means he somehow feels that what he's faking is the right thing to do, because that's why he's faking it. It's not him though, it's all show, it's bluff, it's klipa, it's evil. But he obviously, if this is what he's faking, that means by him, what he's faking is precious, but it's still not him.
It's his aspiration.
This is his aspiration.
Yeah.
The Rebbe Rashab writes that if somebody learns Chassidus with the intent of not internalizing it, he should have never been conceived.
Oh.
So the Rebbe Rashab writes. Because the whole purpose of it, and that's, anyway, we're not going to finish the Maimer, and Monday is the Tonis, and then it's Purim. By Chassidim, there's a concept called Verbrengen. Yeah, Verbrengen. By the non-Chassidim, the Litvish Eilam, it's Bittul Torah. Sitting Verbrengen. Go take a Gemara and learn Gemara. What do you say? I can't China get Verbrengen. So what's the explanation? Gemara says, the Gemara Shulchan Aruch brings down, "Bevatlen Talmud Torah, leitzos hames olachnasas kala." says in halacha, if there's a dead body, a levaya, funeral going by, you stop learning Torah to accompany the dead, okay? Or if there's a chosin and kala, Mevatan Talmud Torah lachnosas kala. Lachnosas kala means, to dance at a wedding. So you stop learning Torah, go dance at the wedding. Okay, that's the simple halacha. You stop learning Torah to accompany the dead and to dance for a chosin kala. So Chassidus explains that what's halvayas hames in a spiritual sense, mes represents klipa, it's dead. Mes, a dead body is cold. Coldness to Yiddishkeit is called dead. It's dead Yiddishkeit. There's no life in it. It's dead. So what does the halacha say? Mevatlin Talmud Torah, what is the purpose of a fabrengen? The purpose of a fabrengen is say l'chaim, you warm up, L'chaim livracha leiv raka, right? Livracha is leiv raka, soft heart. The purpose of a fabrengen is to internalize the learning that you learn, that it should become one with you. Just learning itself is you and the learning. It's cold. It could cause ego. It's all about the me. So, one second. There's two aspects. There's to get rid of the nefesh habamis, havayas hames, accompanying it out of your body. Hachnosas kala means to bring in simcha shel mitzvah. Because when it's yours, then you have simcha. A guy goes to a wedding, it's not his relative, he's happy, he's not really happy, whatever. When it's your kid, it's internalized, it's yours, then you have simcha. So it says, what is the concept of a fabrengen? Bevatlin Talmud Torah, you'd stop learning Torah for these two things. Because what's the whole purpose of Torah? Is to get rid of the Yetzer Hara and to bring in Simcha Shel Mitzvah, because that's how you internalize it. Get rid of the coldness and you bring in the life, the Simcha. So the whole inyan is to internalize Torah in a way that we feel it. Pneumius, to internalize Torah. When you have Simcha, by the way, contrary to public, people think, okay, I go to a disco and I'm dancing, I'm so happy. That's not what the happiness, that's haleless, that's puskite, that's emptiness. Simcha is an internal thing. Simcha is something internal. That because you internally feel it, it manifests itself on the outside. But real simcha is when you feel it internally. Therefore, I don't want to get into therapy now, but nothing external, nothing outside of the person can make him happy. It can give him satisfaction for a few minutes. It can make him feel good. But simcha can only come from within. Because simcha is an internal, and therefore it's eternal, by the way, because when it's internal, it's permanent, it lasts. So the whole union of simcha shel mitzvah, is because then it's internalized. Nothing else in the world can make you happy. I said many times, there's a guy in the shul many years ago. He still doesn't live here anymore, but real nice guy. So, when we started the morning minyan, I met him the other day again, where he was reminding me, when we started the morning minyan many years ago, so we didn't have like today, Baruch Hashem, so we used to call people to come to the minyan. So I used to call him every day to come to minyan. Anyway, so then he started coming every day, and he says, why do I come every day? He said, why should I wait for you to call me? I might as well just come on my own already. You're going to call me anyways. But since then, the guy puts on tefillin every single day. For years, I'm talking about over 30 years. It's from kids. Mamish, yeah. But, so this guy was a very successful lawyer. But he was never happy. So then, I'm talking about over 30 years ago, maybe even more. He bought himself an expensive Jaguar. It was pre-Tesla, pre-Bentley, pre all that stuff.
Huh?
No. So he told me he bought the Jaguar, 12-cylinder, the whole thing. He said, it's going to make me happy. After 2 weeks, no drama, serious, came over to me and he said, you know what? It's a car like any other car. So I said to him in a nice way, I said, you fool. You think a car is going to make you happy? Happiness has to come from within. When you have a purpose, you have a mission, you have a goal, you know what you want, and you do it, that's simcha. Simcha is internal. So in order for Torah to become internal, because Amalek doesn't let it become internal. Amalek doesn't let the Yud-Kei come into Vav-Kei. It doesn't let the Elokus, the Kisei, it doesn't allow the Aleph, the oneness of Hashem, to bring godliness when it comes down into the chair, then Hashem lowers himself. It doesn't allow the Aleph, the Bit, to come into the world.
How could something unlimited could suffer on something that...
Put what?
How could something that is limited put doubt in front of something that is unlimited? How could something like Amalek stop Torah?
If you think the unlimited is limited, it could stop you. The reality is Torah is unlimited. But the person who allows Amalek to influence him in a negative way is because he doesn't see Torah as Hashem, essence, infinite. He sees Torah as a book of a religion that we need to do the do's and the don'ts. Huh? No, Hashem gives us the power to choose between good and bad, right and wrong.
I think he said Hashem gives Amalek the power to do what he does.
Oh, Hashem gives Amalek the power. Yeah, but let me tell you a little secret. I have Amalek in me, you have Amalek, he, she, everybody has an Amalek within them. It's called the Nefesh Abamis, that casts doubts on Yiddishkeit, on the connection. In other words, let's speak practical. It casts doubts, stay in bed, it's so comfortable. I didn't sleep the 4 hours yet Shabbos afternoon, you asked for it. I didn't sleep the 4 hours Shabbos afternoon yet, how can I come to Mincha? So that's the coldness to Yiddishkeit. And it doesn't make casting doubts, maybe. In Chassidus there's an expression, farvos, it's a Yiddish word, farvos meaning why, is klipa. When a Jew asks why, that is the source of evil. It's klipa. Because there is no why. Why? Hashem said so. What do you mean why? What are you asking why? Chassidus says the word why in Yiddishkeit is evil. Why? Hashem said so. What do you mean why? Even in education, when kids want to know why, so once in a while you have to explain to them why. Sometimes, even though you could explain the why, it doesn't work today because today is a different. But when we grew up, the answer is because I said so.
Right.
When a kid says why to the parent, who says the parent has to explain why? The answer is because I said so. You have to listen to me because I said so.
Sometimes when you know why, you can connect to it better.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have nasa, you need to have nishma. The nishma is the why. The nasa is because I said so. But the prerequisite is the nasa, not the nishma.
What's Monday morning?